Easter, everyone. Our beautiful snowy day. This morning I'm going to talk about resurrection and initiation. Sometimes when we think about resurrection, we think about nature and spring. Other times we relate to the subject of resurrection when we think about Christ. And it seems like a very big mystery, or even a secret. But there is nothing secret about it. It is a natural process in which your spark, which is living in the atom, slowly proceeds on the way of enlightenment, victory, and expansion. The human soul within your bodies is a nucleus of light. This light will gradually gain victory and eventually release itself. It's just like in the atom, the nucleus eventually breaks. So we are a nucleus of divine, concentrated energy. This energy is trapped in neutrons, or let us say in electrons. So what are they? They are your bodies, your physical, emotional, mental, and spatial bodies. Between the days of the Aries Solar Festival, which was last Monday, the 25th, and today, Easter, we are striving to renew ourselves, gaining victory over our limiting walls. If there is so much power in an atom that it can destroy cities and even civilizations, what about the power that is within us? If this power is released, it is going to destroy, but it is going to destroy darkness and limitations, glamours, illusions, and pollution. And it's going to illuminate galaxies. The teaching tells us that resurrection is a law, a natural law. But even though it's a natural law, a person can disobey it. It says the human spirit, or the spirit in every form, is eventually going to liberate itself. So we have the urge to liberate ourselves, to expand ourselves, and to make ourselves more beautiful. The urge is always there, but this is very interesting. It needs purpose. So if we find, and I know many people do because they talk to me about this, wanting freedom, wanting to liberate themselves from their environment, from the way they think about themselves, from their relationships, their difficult relationships. And they ask, how can they do it? And they try, and they're so frustrated and almost seem to dig themselves further into a dark hole. So the teaching has the answer for us, and that is purpose, that we must find purpose in our life. Is it related to our physical body? Is it related to our emotions? Is it a mental purpose? Is it individual or national or even universal? Why are we living here? Are we here to eat and enjoy life physically, emotionally, mentally? Many people, that is their goal. Many people think that's the purpose in their life. But it isn't. not spiritually? Are you working to be a part of a greater purpose? That greater purpose is resurrection. Synthesis. It is also brotherhood and unity and harmony and cooperation. The greater purpose. So, we need to put this in context within our own lives to understand resurrection, how it applies to us. And not only how it applies to us, but also our family life. So we see ourselves from the nucleus of that atom, and then trying to break through that atom. And as we make a breakthrough, as we begin this process of resurrection, we include in that process our family, those that are close to us, the work that we engage in, whether it is professional or volunteer, all must be including the process of resurrection, which is synthesis, it is brotherhood, it is unity, it is harmony, and it is cooperation. This is the purpose that we are told is given by God. So every one of us is going to try to reach resurrection. It is not an easy path. And in the end, we are going to be crucified. Crucifixion is explained as pain and suffering. But if we penetrate into the depths of crucifixion, we are going to see that it is the most joyful event. The most joyful event that has happened and is going to happen. Why is it joyful? It is joyful because in the moment of crisis and tension, we are releasing and finding our freedom. So if you don't remember anything from today's lecture or Sunday talk, this is it. That resurrection is a joyful experience because in this moment of crisis, in this moment of tension, we are releasing and finding our freedom. So keep that in mind, and as you go through your difficult periods, your trials and tribulations, your pain and suffering, remember this sentence. We are through this experience, which is different degrees of resurrection, we are releasing and finding our freedom. And that's joy. We are told that at the time of crucifixion, the bliss that is within us pours down into our soul and prepares us for resurrection. That is the highest joy, the highest bliss that we can feel. We break the limitation in which we are living and start a new path of freedom. So, resurrection is a natural path to find our freedom. How are we going to find this path? There are three things that we can do. And the first is meditation. Isn't that interesting? That meditation leads to resurrection. Continuous meditation. In all cultures, meditation is emphasized. Meditation pulls us up toward the level of resurrection. So you cannot believe this until you experience it. So as you begin to engage yourself in the discipline and exercise of meditation, continuous meditation, not just a week here or a weekend there or a year here or 2 years there. It must be continuous meditation. It is then where meditation begins to, it's like, allows a release of light from our atomic nature, and this release of light then begins a refining process. This refining process is a process of learning discrimination, of learning discernment, making, in other words, very simply said, making better choices in everything that we do, in our work life. When we move, say we want to move from this town to that town, this country to that country, if we are practicing in continual meditation, we are going to find ourselves so open and receptive to higher guidance, the light and love and power coming to us from higher guidance. We don't have to go to a road map. We don't have to go to the Chamber of Commerce. We just know where to move, what the best location for us is going to be. Imagine that. And so we're going to pull ourselves into an atmosphere and an environment that is so filled with light and love and power that's coming to us from the Christ, from hierarchy, from the cosmic magnet, that our life now is a path of illumination, and illumination brings right choice, discernment, and discrimination. The second step is service. Service is the urge of the Spirit within us to radiate out and to break the walls. That's service. The third step is creativity. Creativity is the ability to manifest the level that we have reached. We don't shine our light under a bushel. We have to manifest the level that we have reached. Bring it into manifestation, into our whatever environment we find ourselves living in, whether it is with our family life, community life, or something as great in responsibility as being the head of a country. Creativity is the ability to manifest the level that we have reached. When our consciousness expands in planetary dimensions, solar and galactic dimensions, there is going to be so much in us. There is so much glory and beauty in us that we want to manifest it. We can't put it in a museum and lock the door and not allow anybody else in to see the beauty. We want to build a path for others to tread upon so they too can reach resurrection. So there are three things: pure meditation, continuous daily meditation, service, sacrificial service in a way that is best within us to put into expression, and the third is creativity. Now there's a fourth step, and the fourth step is purity. We must try to purify our bodies with medical ways, health, and food. Purify our body as much as we can. Purify our emotions. Purify our minds so that we become a chalice in the flame. And that flame shines and radiates. That is us. When our mind is purified and our brain is awake, when we are stable, then we are a stable person who shines and radiates. We are no longer like a yo-yo where our emotions are up one day and down the next, or our mind is positive one day and negative the next, and so forth. So this is our future. This is what we are striving to become and to experience and understand. This is the purpose of our life, and living this purpose brings us freedom. It was not only Christ who was resurrected. You, each one of us, are going to be resurrected. One day, when we meet in the higher worlds, in the higher dimensions, we are going to congratulate each other and say, we did it. This will be difficult because we are fighting against our limitations. What do limitations do? They create momentum and tension and crises. Momentum, tension, and crises. They increase the tension within us so that we can break our limitations. This is why we have a body, why we have temptations of emotions, and why we have limitations of the mind. But such limitation is a dam collecting the water to be a waterfall. So how does this process naturally happen? First, the person is concentrated in their sacral center. The sacral center has two sides. One side is the pleasure side, and the other side is the creative side. That's the sacral center. The sacral center which obeys the laws of nature if it is on the creative side. If a person conquers their sacral center, then they are going to take what we call in the teaching the first initiation. If they cannot take the first initiation, they cannot take this first initiation until they conquer this center. They can have encyclopedic knowledge, great fame, great positions, but they will still be a human animal soul until it is controlled. And this is what the teaching tells us. It also gives us answers as to how can a person be in such a high position of responsibility and still live an immoral life. This is it. It's not their money, their knowledge, their fame, their position. It is the light that is radiating through them, whether it's the pleasure side or the creative side, that they then take control of. And through that control, they receive a frequency in their entire being where now they control that sacral center and they take the first initiation of consciousness. When a person is paid their karmic debts, they are going step by step. They are going upward. When they have paid their karmic debts, whatever wrongs they did in that center, when they have purified it, and when they have used it creatively with the laws of nature, the spark focused in the sex center then travels up to that solar plexus. The spark that has been focused in the sex center travels up to the solar plexus, from the sacral center to the solar plexus. In the solar plexus, the spark develops a tremendous amount of affection or hatred, both sides. And each side can be extreme. If the person conquers the negative side of that center by effort, by labor, by tension and striving, because of the limitation that evokes things from them, they take the second initiation. Now, what I'm sharing with you today is just like the tip of the iceberg, the 101 introduction of initiation. There are books of the teaching written specifically and very detailed about initiation. So if you're interested in this, I suggest you find those books. The first initiation is taken on the path of the 7th ray. The second initiation is taken on the path of the 6th ray. So this says something. If we're going to take the second initiation, we are then brought closer to resurrection. We are going to cultivate a one-pointed devotion to the path. And this is ray 6 and the second initiation. Then when we become a second degree initiate, when we become a second degree initiate, the question is, what is one-pointed devotion? And this is very important to understand. It is when we apply the teaching to the best of our ability, when we have a strong sense of direction, and we keep to that direction, and when we're aligned with the group soul. That's when we become a second degree initiate. Third, it is then that we develop the center and use it for group consciousness and inclusiveness, that solar plexus. And then in time we move up to the Agni center. When our consciousness is in the Agni center, we start learning the secrets of discrimination, right or left. If we conquer all the wrong paths that open in front of us, then we penetrate into the third initiation. The third initiation is taken upon the path of the 5th ray, which is logic, reasoning, thinking, correctness, accuracy, and punctuality. See, this is so simple. Not necessarily to practice, but to understand. So the right direction, this is what we can learn, the secret here about transformation and transfiguration. They have to do with the right direction. The right direction is found by studying, analyzing, examining, and synthesizing. It is a heavy work because we are going to release the divinity. We're going to release the divinity in us that's imprisoned within the walls of our nature. See, we're moving from the animal soul level of consciousness, which is talked about in all the teachings of the wisdom, especially in Agni Yoga. We're thinking how the Master and Helena Rourke both talked to us about being an animal soul, how humanity is an animal soul, which when I first learned about it, I was kind of shocked, but then agreed with it because it gave me so many answers as to the behavior of some very prominent human beings, that they were still acting like animals. These walls found in our nature are the walls of matter and emotion, glamour and illusion, vanity, ego, and separatism. Separatism is divisiveness. It is disunity. It is the opposite of oneness. When you conquer the Ajna center, when we conquer the Ajna center, then we are going to go forward. Until we conquer every string of darkness that is coming out of our heart, we will never enter into the fourth initiation. Eventually, our heart is going to and must radiate a pure golden white light. The heart is taken by the energy of the fourth ray. So the fourth initiation is taken in the heart. The fourth ray comes and hits our heart, and our heart blossoms. When it blossoms, we manifest as the living spirit that is within our heart. That self within. We have made the strongest breakthrough because we have conquered a limitation that is the strongest one. The heart ties and the heart releases. Every attachment is from the heart. If it is limiting us, it has to be broken. We see that the path of resurrection is building and destruction, building and destruction on higher and higher and higher levels. So destruction means breakthrough. It means breakthrough. Now we have finished the heart and we are going to take the fifth initiation. Here we become a master of the wisdom. When the three fires at the base of the spine are in full circulation. The sixth initiation is taken in the throat center, the creative center. The sixth initiation uses the third ray. And if you conquer this, you are going to take the next, the seventh initiation, and penetrate into the head center. Now, I do want to stop here and remind you that, if I can explain it, it's like, I don't know if I can explain it or not. It's, as we take these initiations, it's not just cut and dry, and that you're with this initiation and then you're done with it, and then you're taking the second initiation and then you're done with it, and so forth. It's not like that. It's to me, it is like this great symphonic piece of music where there are notes that within the symphony, even though that composition is written in, let's say, F sharp, the chord, it is filled with notes that are part of other chords, part of other scales, include other rhythms. So what is happening as we take, as we go through the disciplines of, and prepares us for, and we eventually are successful in taking that first initiation, within that process, we are also introduced to the light and frequency of the second initiation, which overlaps with the third initiation. So, as we go from the first, we gradually move into the second, which includes the first. The second goes from the third, which includes the first and second. So there's a synthesis taking on from the onset of life, the onset when we finally move on to the path of initiation, where the composition of all these 9 initiations work together. I hope that's clear. So, in the head, I'm moving on now. In the head center, we become a 7th degree initiate. So this doesn't mean that that our head center is not functioning yet until the 7th initiation. See, it means that gradually we're introduced to the energy and the frequency and parts of the 1,000-petal lotus that functions within that head center. So we experience it, but not in full unfoldment until we reach the 7th degree initiation, which is taken in the second ray. Now, the second ray is compassion. The last drops of darkness and hatred, malice and treason and anger, fear and jealousy and revenge must disappear in this 7th initiation. You must be the compassionate one. You will see everything, but you will have the love that loves the Spirit in everyone. So this is the path that we're on. In approaching the 7th initiation, the Spirit travels to the top center, the 1,000-petal lotus, and we are resurrected. I just think this is so beautiful. Purpose. This is the purpose of life. This is the path of resurrection and initiation. To do these things, we are going to, day after day, renew ourselves, having the goal of resurrection. There is no resurrection. If there is no resurrection, then everything is in vain. So the whole teaching of Christ, the whole teaching of the great ones, is for one thing: to teach humanity how to resurrect itself, not how to destroy itself. That is why Christ said something very, very beautiful. He said, if I am risen, I will take you and pull you up. Each human being that is resurrected creates a stream, a river of light into the minds and the souls of the people and makes them advance on this path of resurrection. But we have distractions and games. Those who live in Arizona know how close we are to Las Vegas, Nevada. Food and drinking and drugs, these limitations must be broken. If we do not break them, then what's going to happen? The teaching says at 1:05, for example, the train must come. After 2 minutes have passed, it must depart. The next one will come, the next will go, then the ship and the airplane. It is all planned, synchronized action. If we are too late for our resurrection, what is going to happen? If we do not reach resurrection in the 7 globes, you annihilate. We as a humanity annihilate. We as a spirit dissolve in the forces of chaos. So the day of resurrection is now. We are going to start from now and not lose 1 minute working for our resurrection. So we have 4 things to do: meditation, service, creativity, and purity. So that's what we know in the teaching, what the teaching has given us about resurrection.